You are operating under the greatest illusion of the human ego, the belief that by staying visible, by explaining yourself, and by remaining available, you are securing your place in someone else's life. You aren't. You are simply becoming part of the furniture. You've become a predictable variable in their environment, a source of validation that requires zero effort to maintain. You are suffering because you believe you lost someone, but the truth is far more brutal. You lost the illusion that you mattered enough to be chased. You became the chaser, and in doing so, you killed the mystery that fueled their desire. When you stop, something fundamental shifts in the fabric of the relationship. It isn't just about no contact or playing a game, it is a violent disruption of the other person's psychological safety. Most people mistake silence for weakness. They think that by not speaking, they are being forgotten. In reality, silence is the only language that the ego of the other person cannot ignore. When you withdraw your energy, without an announcement, without a goodbye, and without a fight, you create a vacuum. And as any student of human nature knows, the mind cannot tolerate a vacuum. It must fill it with questions, anxieties, and eventually, a desperate need to reclaim what was lost. Before we dissect the mechanics of how to weaponize your absence and turn the tables on those who took you for granted, you need to understand that this requires a total death of your current self. You cannot be the person who waits for a notification and the person who commands respect at the same time. If you are ready to stop being a footnote in someone else's story and start becoming the ghost that haunts their thoughts, subscribe to this channel. We deal in the cold reality of human psychology, not the comforts of moving on. Let's begin. 1. The death of predictability, shattering the expectation. The moment they can predict your next move, you have lost. Human beings are biologically wired to ignore what is constant. Think about the sound of a fan in a room. After 5 minutes, your brain filters it out. You have become that background noise. They know you will text back. They know you will like their photo. They know that even if they treat you with indifference, you are still there, hovering in the periphery of their life like a safety net. This predictability is the death of attraction. It provides them with a psychological security that allows them to explore other options while keeping you on a leash. When you suddenly vanish, without a transition, without a final "we need to talk" speech, you shatter that fan noise. The silence becomes deafening. For the first time in months or years, the other person is forced to actually look at the space you occupied. Their brain, which had become lazy and entitled to your presence, suddenly receives a high-priority alert: the variable has changed. This isn't just a minor annoyance for them, it is a threat to their ego. They relied on your predictability to feel superior. By becoming unpredictable, you immediately reclaim the high ground. Most people fail here because they try to explain their absence. They say, "I'm taking a break," or "I need space." That is not absence. That is just another form of seeking attention. Real power lies in the unexplained. When you disappear without a word, the other person's mind begins to invent reasons. They wonder if you found someone else, if you finally realized your worth, or if you simply stopped caring. That not knowing is a psychological toxin that slowly erodes their confidence. You are no longer a person they can manage, you are a mystery they have to solve. The beauty of shattering predictability is that it forces a re-evaluation of your value. As long as you were there, your value was fixed and low. The moment you are gone, your value becomes speculative. Like a stock that is no longer on the market, your price starts to rise in their mind because of scarcity. They start remembering the good things, not because they are sentimental, but because they are trying to understand why the supply was cut off. You are training them to realize that your presence is a premium, not a right. In this stage, you must resist the urge to check in. Every time you check their social media or send a neutral text, you are repairing the predictability you just broke. You are telling them, "Don't worry, the safety net is still there." To truly make them miss you, you must be willing to let them believe, even for a moment, that you are gone forever. This creates a fear of life and a fear of death within their psyche, a tension that can only be resolved by reaching out to you. You are not being mean, you are being essential. 2. The withdrawal of validation, starving the ego. Every interaction you've had with this person has been a transaction of validation. Whether you realize it or not, your attention was the currency they used to feel important. When someone treats you with coldness or takes you for granted, they are essentially spending your affection without ever having to earn it. They have an unlimited credit line with your heart. By saying nothing and walking away, you are effectively freezing their accounts. You are stopping the flow of ego oxygen that you have been providing them. Imagine their daily routine. They wake up, check their phone, and see your name. Even if they don't reply, that notification tells them, I am still desired. I am still the center of this person's world. It's a hit of dopamine for them. Now, imagine the first morning that notification doesn't appear. Then the second. Then the week. The ego starts to starve. They begin to feel a sense of irrelevance. Why hasn't the validation come in? Am I no longer attractive? Am I no longer interesting? These are the questions that keep them up at night. The withdrawal of validation is powerful because it reveals the other person's dependency on you. Often, the person who seems the most uninterested is actually the one most dependent on your pursuit to feel good about themselves. When you remove that pursuit, you expose their insecurity. They didn't love you, they loved the way you loved them. But once you take that away, they realize there is a giant hole in their self-esteem that only your attention could fill. This is when the missing you phase actually starts. You must understand that people do not miss you as a person initially, they miss the function you served in their life. By refusing to speak, you are refusing to serve that function. You are no longer the therapist, the cheerleader, the backup plan, or the ego booster. You have resigned from the position. This leaves them in a state of psychological crisis. They have to find a new source of validation, but the memory of yours is still there, and yours was free and constant. The contrast between your past warmth and your current ice is what creates the obsession. This is where the no contact rule usually fails for most. They do it with the hope of getting a reaction. But if you are doing it for a reaction, you are still providing validation because they can feel the intent behind your silence. They can sense the loud silence of someone who is waiting by the phone. To make this work, your withdrawal must be authentic. You must reach a point where you don't care if their ego starves. When you truly stop providing validation, the energy shift is palpable. They will feel the coldness from miles away, and it will draw them back like a moth to a flame. 3. The reversal of the chase, the psychology of the void. There is a fundamental law in human relationships. In every interaction, there is a pursuer and a pursued. If you are the one asking questions, the one initiating plans, or the one trying to fix things, you are the pursuer. This means the other person is, by default, the one running away. You cannot catch someone who is running away by running faster, you only make them run further. The only way to reverse the chase is to stop moving entirely. When the pursuer stops, the pursued loses their direction. They have nothing to run from, and suddenly, they are standing alone in the void. The void is a terrifying place for the human mind. When you stop chasing, the other person loses their sense of power. They used your pursuit as a compass to navigate their own self-worth. I am better than them because they want me more than I want them. When you stop, that compass breaks. They are forced to turn around and look at you. They see you standing still, silent, and seemingly unmoved. This creates a massive psychological tension. They feel a sudden urge to re-establish the dynamic, which means they have to start moving toward you. This is the moment they send the breadcrumb text. The, hey, the, I saw this and thought of you, or the, are you okay? These aren't messages of love, they are probes. They are trying to see if they can trigger your pursuit again. they want to see if the dog will still bark when they whistle. If you respond, you have failed. You have confirmed that the void was just a temporary glitch and that they still hold the remote control to your emotions. But if you remain silent, the void grows. Otto Rank spoke about the will, the internal force that drives us to assert ourselves. By refusing to speak, you are asserting your will over theirs. You are saying, my silence is more powerful than your words. This is an act of supreme self-governance. It communicates that you are no longer a participant in their game. When someone realizes they can no longer influence you, you become an object of intense fascination. You have transitioned from being available to being unattainable. The reversal of the chase requires you to become comfortable with the discomfort of the other person. You will feel the urge to ease their pain or to be polite. You must kill that urge. Your politeness is what got you into this position of being undervalued. In the void, there is no politeness, there is only truth. The truth is that they didn't value you when you were there, so they must now deal with the reality of you being gone. Let them sit in the silence. Let them feel the weight of the words they never said. The more they feel the void, the more they will try to fill it with your name. For identity fragility, when they lose their mirror. We often use the people who love us as mirrors to see ourselves. They see themselves through your eyes, as someone worthy, someone desirable, someone who can get away with things. When you are constantly there, providing attention, you are holding up a mirror that makes them look good. When you walk away and say nothing, you take that mirror with you. Suddenly, they are forced to look at themselves without your filtered perspective. They see their own coldness, their own boredom, and their own emptiness. This is why they start to miss you. They miss the version of themselves they were when they were with you. This is a deep, existential trigger. When you stop communicating, the other person starts to lose their grip on who they are in relation to you. If I'm not the person they are obsessed with, then who am I? They might try to distract themselves with other people, but those new mirrors don't have the same depth or history that you did. They realize that they threw away a rare source of genuine reflection for a temporary sense of freedom. The freedom they wanted starts to feel like isolation. Silence acts as a projection screen. Because you aren't saying anything, they start to project their own insecurities onto your silence. If they have a guilty conscience, they assume you are mad. If they have a fear of abandonment, they assume you've moved on. If they are arrogant, they assume you are playing a game. Regardless of what they project, they are now thinking about you 24/7. Your silence has hijacked their internal monologue. You are now the lead character in their mental drama, and you didn't even have to audition. Think about the last scene or read receipt psychology. When they see you are online but not talking to them, it challenges their identity as the important one. It tells them that the world is moving on without them. This creates a fear of missing out, FOMO, on your life. They start to wonder what you are doing, who you are talking to, and why you seem so fine. Your silence suggests that you are self-sufficient, and nothing is more attractive, or more threatening, to an ego than a person who is truly self-sufficient. To make them miss you, you must become a mystery again. You must stop being a known quantity. When you speak, you give away your thoughts, your location, and your emotional state. When you are silent, you are everywhere and nowhere. You become a ghost in their machine. They will check your social media looking for clues, but if you are smart, you will provide none. No sad quotes, no revenge body photos, just nothing. The absence of information is the most powerful information of all. It says, you no longer have access to my soul. 5. The scarcity principle, becoming a rare resource. In economics, the value of a resource is determined by its supply and demand. In relationships, the same rule applies. If you are always available, your supply is infinite, which drives your value towards zero. By disappearing, you are creating an artificial scarcity of yourself. You are removing the supply from the market. This creates a panic in the other person's subconscious. They might have thought they were done with you, but when they realize the option to have you is actually being taken off the table, they suddenly want to buy in. This is why people often come back the moment you truly move on. It's not magic, it's the realization that the resource is gone. Think about a product you see in a store every day, you never buy it. Then one day, there's a sign that says, discontinued, last one in stock. Suddenly, you feel a desperate need to own it. By using silence, you are discontinuing yourself from their life. You are moving from being a commodity to being a luxury. A luxury is something that is hard to get, expensive to maintain, and highly sought after. Scarcity also triggers the endowment effect, a psychological bias where people value things more once they feel they own them. Even if they treated you poorly, they felt they owned your loyalty. Your silence is a formal notice that the ownership has ended. This triggers a loss aversion response. The human brain is wired to feel the pain of loss twice as much as the joy of gain. They aren't missing you because they suddenly realized you're the love of their life. They are missing you because their brain is screaming that they just lost something they owned. During this phase, you must remain out of stock. Do not respond to low-effort attempts to restock you. If they send a meme or a "hey," they are trying to see if the item is back on the shelf. If you respond, the scarcity vanishes, and their interest will drop again within minutes. You must hold the line until they are willing to pay the full price, which is an apology, a change in behavior, and a genuine effort to win you back. You are not a clearance item. Remember, you cannot be missed if you are always there. Absence is the only way to test if the demand for you actually exists. If you disappear and they never come back, then there was no demand to begin with, and you were wasting your time. But if there is any spark of connection left, the scarcity of your voice will fan that spark into a fire. Let the silence do the work. Let them feel the poverty of a life without your input. 6. The breaking of the anchor, the freedom of the void. In many toxic or stagnant relationships, you become the anchor. You are the one who provides stability, the one who is always there to catch them when they fail. While this seems like a good thing, it actually allows the other person to be reckless. They know they can treat you badly, ignore you, or explore other people because you are anchored in their life. You aren't going anywhere. Your silence is the sound of the anchor chain snapping. Suddenly, they are drifting in the open ocean without a compass. When the anchor breaks, the other person feels a sudden sense of vertigo. The freedom they thought they wanted feels a lot like drowning. They realize that they didn't actually want to be free, they wanted to have the feeling of being free while still having your safety net beneath them. Your silence removes the net. This is where the panic sets in. They start to realize that their life is significantly more chaotic, more boring, and less meaningful without your presence. This breaking of the anchor is essential for your own psychological health as well. As long as you are trying to make them miss you by talking or acting, you are still anchored to them. You are still letting their potential reaction dictate your actions. When you choose silence, you are anchoring yourself to your own will. You are deciding that your peace of mind is more important than their response. This shift in energy is what makes you truly magnetic. People are drawn to those who are anchored within themselves. Silence is also a form of negative reinforcement. By removing your presence when they treat you poorly, you are teaching them that bad behavior results in the total loss of your energy. Most people try to talk their way into being respected. They say, "Don't treat me like this," or "It hurts when you do that." All that does is tell the other person that they can hurt you and you'll still be there to complain about it. Silence is the only consequence they will actually feel. No words, no access, no energy. As they drift further away from the safety you provided, they will start to look back at the shore. They will see you moving on, living your life, and not looking back. This creates a powerful, magnetic pull. They will want to return to the anchor, but they will find that the anchor is no longer waiting for them at the bottom of the sea. It has been pulled up, and the ship has sailed. If they want you back, they am going to have to swim for it. 7. The power of the unanswered question. Every time you were ignored or treated with indifference, a question was asked, "Do I matter to you?" When you stayed and kept talking, you were answering that question with a "yes, and I'll keep trying." You were giving away the answer for free. Your silence turns the question back on them. Now, they are the ones with the unanswered questions. Where are they? Are they mad? Are they with someone else? Do they still love me? The human brain hates unanswered questions. It will loop them over and over until it finds an answer. This mental looping is the definition of missing someone. It is an obsessive thought pattern triggered by a lack of closure. By not saying a word, you are denying them closure. You are leaving the story of the relationship on a cliffhanger. This is why people can't move on from ghosting as easily as they can from a clean breakup. The ghost remains in the house because the business was never finished. You are becoming that ghost. You must be comfortable being the villain in their story for a while. They might tell their friends you are being petty or cold. Let them. Their anger is just a cover for their anxiety. If they weren't bothered by your silence, they wouldn't be talking about it. Their frustration is proof that your strategy is working. The unanswered question is eating away at their ego, and the only way they can stop the pain is by getting an answer from you. The key to the unanswered question is to never provide the answer through a third party either. Don't post cryptic status updates that give away your mood. Don't tell mutual friends how you're doing. The more pure the silence, the more powerful the question becomes. You are creating a black hole of information. Light cannot escape a black hole, and neither can their thoughts. They will find themselves checking your profile, asking about you, and rereading old messages, trying to find the answer that isn't there. When they finally reach out, and they almost always do, the first thing they will do is try to get the answer. Why haven't you talked to me? This is a trap. If you answer, the tension is released, and you go back to being the predictable anchor. If you remain vague, or if you simply treat them with a polite, detached, businesslike tone, the question remains. You are showing them that you are no longer bothered by the question yourself. You have moved beyond the need for their validation. 8. The re-emergence of the mysterious self. When you were in the heat of the struggle, trying to make things work, you were exposed. They saw your tears, your anger, your desperation. You were a known quantity, vulnerable and transparent. Silence allows you to rebuild your walls. It allows you to retreat back into the shadows and emerge as a new, mysterious version of yourself. Absence doesn't just make the heart grow fonder, it makes the imagination run wild. Think about someone you haven't seen in 3 years. When you think of them, you don't think of their flaws, you think of a generalized version of them. You imagine they've changed, improved, or become more successful. By staying silent, you are allowing the other person's imagination to do the work for you. They will start to imagine that you are doing better than you actually are. They will assume you have leveled up, that you are dating someone more attractive, or that you have found a piece they can't understand. This imaginary self is much more powerful than your real self. Your real self has flaws, your silent self is perfect because it's a blank slate. They are now competing with a version of you that exists only in their head, a version that is strong, silent, and independent. This makes them feel less than. They feel like they are stuck in the same place while you have ascended to a new level of existence. This is the ultimate revenge without ever saying a word. To support this, you must actually use the silence to level up. Don't just sit in a dark room waiting for the phone to ring. Go to the gym, read books, work on your career, change your style. If you do happen to post something months later, it should show a version of you that is unrecognizable from the one they discarded. The combination of your physical rebrand, and your psychological silence is a lethal blow to their ego. They will feel like they made the biggest mistake of their life by letting the new you get away. The mysterious self is protected. Because you aren't talking, they can't find weaknesses in your new armor. They can't guilt trip you or gaslight you because you aren't giving them any material to work with. You are a closed book. And people always want to read the book they can't open. You have successfully shifted the dynamic from open source to encrypted. 9. The will to separate, ascending beyond the need. Otto Rank's most profound theory was about the will to separate. He believed that all of human life is a struggle between the desire to be connected, which brings security but kills the self, and the desire to be separate, which brings freedom but causes fear. When you were chasing this person, you were acting out of a desperate need for connection. You were terrified of being separate. Your silence is a declaration of your will to separate. It is the moment you overcome the birth trauma of the relationship and choose your own individual existence over the safety of a bad connection. This is why silence is so terrifying to the other person. It signals that you have individuated. You are no longer an extension of them. You are a sovereign being. Most people in relationships are intertwined in a messy, codependent way. When one person pulls away, the other feels like a limb is being torn off. Your silence is the clean cut of the surgeon's knife. It says, "I am whole without you." Nothing makes someone miss you more than the realization that you don't need them to exist. This shift from need to will is the ultimate power move. When you need someone, they are your master. When you will your own path, you are the master. Your silence isn't a tactic at this point, it's a reflection of your state of being. You have reached a level of psychological maturity where you realize that no one is worth the loss of your dignity. The other person will sense this ego strength from you. It is a vibration that can't be faked. It makes them feel small in comparison. When they feel your will to separate, they will often try to pull you back into the mess. They will use drama, nostalgia, or even insults to get a reaction. They want to see that need in your eyes one more time. If you remain silent, you win. You have proven that your will is stronger than their pull. You have successfully separated your identity from theirs. At this point, the game is over, and you have already won, regardless of whether they come back or not. True attraction is born from the tension between two separate individuals. By re-establishing your separateness through silence, you are actually creating the only environment where a healthy attraction could ever regrow. You are clearing out the weeds of codependency and desperation. You are standing on your own 2 feet, and from that position of strength, you are finally worth missing. 10. The permanence of the void, the point of no return. There comes a moment in the silence where the missing turns into a permanent realization. This is the point of no return. If you hold your silence long enough, and with enough conviction, the other person stops trying to win the game and starts to mourn the loss of you. This is the deepest form of missing. It's no longer about ego or validation, it's about the genuine absence of a soul they once knew. This is the goal. You want them to reach the point where they realize that their actions had permanent consequences. Most people go through life thinking they can always fix things later. They treat people like objects they can put on a shelf and pick up whenever they want. Your silence is the fire that burns the shelf. It tells them, you had your chance, and you blew it. This space is now permanently empty. Ironically, it is at this point, when you have truly moved on and the silence is no longer a strategy, that they will often make their most desperate, honest attempt to return. They will come with flowers, with tears, with long letters of confession. Why? Because the permanent void has finally taught them what your value was. They had to lose you forever to realize they wanted you always. But here is the final secret: by the time they reach this point, you usually don't want them anymore. The silence that you used as a weapon has become your sanctuary. You have spent so much time in your own company, building your own will, that the person who once caused you so much pain now looks small. You realize that you weren't missing them, you were missing the version of yourself that was strong enough to leave. The void you created for them has become a throne for you. You have successfully navigated the fear of life and the fear of death. You have used silence to filter out the people who didn't deserve your voice. You have turned the tables not by winning a fight, but by refusing to fight at all. This is the ultimate Rankian victory, the triumph of the individual will over the collective need for approval. The moment you stop running is the moment you begin to lead. Silence is not the absence of communication, it is the most potent form of it. It says everything that words are too weak to carry. It tells the other person that you are self-contained, that your value is non-negotiable, and that your presence is a gift that can be revoked at any time. When you master the art of being gone, you become unforgettable. The game hasn't just changed, it's over, and you are the only one left standing. The world belongs to those who can stay silent while everyone else is screaming for attention.